Wow, this takes a lot more time than I originally remember it taking. Although in the original attempt at it, I didn't use the tower. Oh, damn it. Damn it, I jumped. I shouldn't have done that. Is that, how bad is that for me? Okay, that's not too bad. Let's pretend that didn't happen. I forgot that E is jump in this game. Or at
Go
least
ahead,
that's how I
please.
think I have it set. Anyways.
What can I interest you
When I
in?
first attempted this, I didn't use the tower. At least I didn't in the original
Goodbye.
one. I thought that for some legitimacy's sake, I should probably attempt to do it the old-fashioned way, joining the Mages Guild, ascending the ranks, and bootstrapping
Well
it
met.
in the Kurt Saxon spirit. However, it makes things a lot more convenient to have the tower around, and it would be fun to show off a few tips and tricks that you can have, but for the sake of legitimacy, and since I still need to get Mercantile up to respectable 15 to complete this, I'm going to join the Mages Guild, or at the very least attempt as much as I can of joining the Mages Guild. If it gets to be too bad and I already have Mercantile leveled up to 15 and I can't train Destruction, I'll just train Alteration. That's usually the easiest way to do that early on, to get from level 1 to 2, because Destruction is, well, the hardest of the magics to level up, besides Restoration. Yeah, don't. We're fine. Yeah, I remember there's a main quest. We're gonna get to that eventually. Eventually, somewhere around episode 27. But Kurt Saxon was a very interesting character, and when I thought about the idea of paradoxes and potential futility, it made me think about perhaps survivalism. The idea of the collapse is a pretty complex one. The idea of a massive collapse that will be some sort of Mad Maxian or zombie apocalypse scenario is just escapism. It's a fantasy for people who feel like they have no real power and think that they can take some power in once the system is completely abolished. However, there is a very likely chance that you could see something more like what Kurt Saxon talks about, a gradual decay, a reduction of society to a much lower station. Ooh, there we go, cha-ching. Reduction of society and the quality of life. A lot of thinkers have talked about this over time. The collapse is less of an actual thing and more of an idea. And finding a way to differentiate between fantasy and reality, metaphor, symbolism, and how to apply it to reality, understanding that the map is not the terrain. Ooh, silver knife? Silver knife. It helps you gain context. That's locked, not going to do that. It helps you gain context when sorting through these sorts of things. Now, will there be some sort of collapse that takes us back to the late 18th, early 19th century? Well, maybe. Well, stay tuned. It's looking more legitimate every day. But at the end of the day, I think that Kurt Saxon had a lot of things that were worth noting. A lot of observations about the human condition, especially in our modern society, that I think should be shared with the world. God, really? Is that it? Is this... God, this really is the most barren of the... God, this quaint pastoral little town has the cheapest Mages Guild. There's nothing here. I remember now why I saved it for last. And I can't even do this one. I can't even do this one yet. I have to wait until I'm... God, there's a wall. See, this would be so much easier if I just let myself go to the... Nope, that's not... If I just let myself go to the tower, but no, we're going to be legitimate. And it also would take away some of the challenge. You see, one of the secrets we're going to do with magic building, which we won't probably be getting to with this episode. Oh, this is where they were hiding it. Interesting. Alright. We probably won't be getting to the point in this episode where I can actually make spells. That will probably be for the next segment. For now, we're going to focus on efficiently leveling the character and ascending our recommendations list. We're going to try and get as many... Oh, God, really? Really? Okay, what I'm gonna have to drop the silver dagger, aren't I? No. No. I will drop the iron dagger. That's right. That's right. I will not be brought down by my hubris. Wait, is there more in here? There's more in here. I'm gonna have to loot this place a second time. Okay. Okay, interesting. Well, then I'm gonna have to make another trip here. However, before I let Kurt Saxon take us away on his first observation, and this episode I found interesting for a couple of reasons. Not only because I myself saw a lot of parallels between what he says.
I don't think
Who?
we've met.
What? Oh God,
You
reptilians. Oh, I don't consort with the reptilian kind. As an Altmer, I'm required to, by the terms of our treaties. But, yeah, I'm so happy to meet you. Your skin doesn't disturb me in any way whatsoever.
I'm sure
I
my
love the
mother would be
Empire.
glad to meet you
I
as
love
well.
the coexistence of all of these unique and interesting races of Tamrielians. It's so wonderful. Diversity is our strength. God, filthy, cold-blooded lizard. Alright, let's see. I'm gonna go sell some more stuff at the market. Yes, that is the one benefit. Even if I'm not using the tower, I still have the added benefit of the fact that Aurelinewe likes me a lot now because I purchased those candles. So eventually we'll just be using that as the main base of operations for this, and that will be the end of that. God, this one more thing before moving on, just the statement of the condition, the idea of walking to the store to sell these stolen goods is but a small sampling of the modern condition and his observations about it, with a bit of a spin on it for modern references. His I believe the essay he's reading was written even earlier than 1991, so you might not know who some of these people are, some of these shows, but it's fine. Just, look it up. You've got the internet, you've got a phone, you've got something, you're watching this. You can easily look this up. So, without further ado, as I continue my quest to join the Mages Guild and efficiently level, let's hear another exciting tale from Kurt Saxon.
It's my pleasure. Have a look around. You won't find better prices in our
Welcome to the Kurt Saxon Show, your countdown to the future. First, I want you to take down my phone number in case you want to call. The number is 501-437-2963. In case you didn't get it, here it is again. 501-437-2963. Sorry, but we can't accept collect calls. Tonight's topic is You Can't Change the Channel, and this is from 1976. A while back, I saw a funny and tragic cartoon in a magazine. It showed a car pulled over to the side of the road. A harried and exhausted mother was inside, flanked by some miserable children who plainly didn't like the situation at all. The father was outside trying to pump up a flat tire. While hard at work trying to save their vacation, the father was saying, "But kids, this is real, this is life. We can't change the channel." The cartoon showed the absurdity of the children's confusion between reality and TV. I got a charge out of it because it paralleled the American adult confusion between real-world conditions and pure entertainment. Now, I don't mean to imply that the American adult is so moronic to mistake real news footage of the carnage in Beirut with the fictional cops and robbers carnage on the next channel. However, watching TV has become the major occupation of the average American, especially city folk. This can't be discounted when considering their inability or downright refusal to accept the warnings so apparent to survivalists. Before TV, movies were certainly an influence, but you had to leave home to see a movie. You chose what you wanted to see and accepted the fact that you were being entertained. After the delightful fantasy was over, you walked out into the cold night. There were the derelicts shambling up to the movie levers to beg for booze money. A couple in an upstairs room screaming obscenities at each other. A fire truck barreling around the corner to save some wretched smoker from an ignited mattress. All this broke the mood, unpleasantly of course, but it at least helped to put things back in their proper perspective. The viewer of TV can go from boob tube to Betty Bye without his fantasy mood being broken. In fact, with several channels, he can maintain his fantasies from the time he gets home from his boring job until he goes to sleep. Over the years, the average American has selected a set of fantasies and maintained them for hours each day. Mood-breaking reality is avoided. An excellent example of this is a commercial for Care. It shows children in darkest somewhere or other with their pot bellies, pitiful. A child viewer whines, "Why do we have to watch this?" The father figure then reads from his script that we must help these people. Of course, the poor little tykes in the film had probably died before the footage was shown, but the commercial still points out the reality avoidance of the average viewer. This was also shown during the coverage of the Democratic Convention. All it really amounted to was the posturing and ranting of a lot of political pigs wanting to get at the public trough. But it did give a pretty thorough rundown of the ills besetting our nation. The networks reported that during this coverage they lost about 2/3 of their viewers to other channels. Money's Worth, July 19, reported that even in Russia, the TV viewers tune out socially relevant programs in favor of movies, quiz, and variety shows. Most people are bored with their daily routine. They're also anxious about the future. Such a combination of boredom and anxiety creates stresses that only hours of fantasizing can relieve. Since most of today's problems can't be solved by the individual as long as he stays in his rut, he marks time on his job until he can go home to his own Disneyland. During the day, he will talk about sports and other programs he watched on TV. He tries to recreate the dream world he finds most secure. If you intrude on his daydreaming, he is likely to try to change your channel and get you to echo his own fantasies. Failing this, he will become grumpy and tune you out entirely. Thus, few Americans communicate today apart from routine specifics or comparisons of whatever highs they experienced last night in front of the tube. They're increasingly hard to reach with reality subjects which seem to threaten the continuance of their routine or their fantasy worlds. Meanwhile, at home, the women lead fantasy lives, identifying with their soap opera queens and their oh-so-very sophisticated problems. Women's fantasy involvement with soap operas has been covered quite well without my help. But it is increasingly evident that reality in the home is less important to the female than the fantasy world of her soaps. A perfect example is Mary Hartman. Mary is the typical consumer housewife. She can deal with waxy buildup and other problems solved by TV commercials. Many social problems have their answers in TV characters who have also been there. But does As the World Turns tell what to do when Leroy drowns in a bowl of chicken soup forced on him by Mary? Does Somerset tell how to deal with the troubled lad who massacred the 5-member Lombardi family, their 2 goats and 8 chickens? May gave Tom VD. He gave it to Mary. Looking for love and appreciation, Mary then made out with Sergeant Foley in his hospital bed while he was resting up from a heart attack. All this would have been duck soup had only General Hospital handled it first. But it didn't, so what had poor Mary to go on? She was shattered. Confused wretch that she is, she's picked as the typical American consumer housewife. Her selection is based on the fact that she is representative of most American housewives. She has no hobbies, interests, or ambition. On the night of the award presentation, she goes crazy on the David Susskind show, and we leave her in the nut house until September. You see, confronted with real-life problems, Mary couldn't change the channel, so she came apart. Mary Hartman is believed to be a takeoff on soap operas, but I see it as a takeoff on the American housewife, so caught up in soap operas, commercials, and other mass media that she can't function without their direction. In a sense, men are worse off than women when it comes to problem solving through TV. Sports are no help. Sports heroes, whatever they are inspirational only to mentally defective youngsters. When Jack Nicklaus hunkers before first base, pitches the ball past the 40-yard line, and sinks it in the basket, only a no-hoper would take heart. But there are a lot of no-hopers out there. Men so devoid of intellect, so crushed by their own mediocrity, that a gum-chewing, flank-scratching cretin symbolizes all that's manly and heroic. In sports, the only enemy is the opposing player. In westerns and war movies, the enemy is long dead or fictional. Besides, the movie hero always wins, a heady but harmless drug when taken sparingly. Before TV, these entertainments were usually strung out over weekends with a Saturday night movie and a Sunday game. The mind could come awake between fantasies wherein the fantasizer is shooting at the Clantons at the OK Corral or playing football with the Giants. The American male's identification with infantile sports and their players and with movie stars was simply recreation before TV. But with TV, one can immerse himself in fantasies the whole weekend and for hours and hours each evening. And the average man does, because he can't cope with the real world anymore. Instead of trying to cope with today's problems, he has taken to fantasizing every waking, non-working hour. This barrage of heroic imagery gives a person little time to adjust to his own reality. After an evening of mastering all his fantasy foes, the dreamer goes to bed, then wakes up and is brutally thrust into the real world. Still feeling heroic, he is forced into the wrong lane by some hot-rodding punk. Then his boss snaps at him. Normal setbacks and irritations, easily handled before TV, are now too much for him. Joe Namath or Burt Lancaster could handle such problems. But a man fantasizing their roles finds himself more helpless in such situation than he used to be when he handled them alone. Muscles and hot lead win the day on the screen, but not on the highway or in the shop or office. Since our TV addict spends more time in his fantasy world than away from it, he finds himself avoiding unpleasantness rather than confronting it. Last night he was tuned into a program on famine and saw that he couldn't resolve the problem by clever footwork or a fast draw, so he changed the channel. Today he saw an old lady being mugged by two punks half his size, but he had left his gun and football shoes at home in the TV, so he couldn't get involved. In the case of the old lady, he could change the channel simply by walking on. But in his own life situation, he can't change the channel except by quitting his job or by slugging someone and getting fired. Barring this, he simply becomes more withdrawn. His fantasy world is so much better than his real world that he increasingly shuts the real world out. In a limited sense, he can change the channel in this way. In only a few hours, he will be back in front of the tube and be rid of this irritation. Thus, he will not become involved. He will accept no more responsibility. He won't stand up to a bullying foreman. After all, in a few hours, he will gun the oaf down along with the Clantons. The American male has increasingly given up his responsibilities to the police, unions, and politicians. He regards these forces as necessary evils and gives his off-TV hours up to their direction. In short, most Americans have turned into gutless, daydreaming sheep.
I'm afraid I haven't.
That's why when you urge them to act toward their own survival, they give you the brush off. They won't be awakened. They'll leave their protection to overworked, thinly spread cops. Their jobs, which they do so poorly now, are secured by corrupt labor union officials more interested in pension funds than production. They will gladly leave their political responsibilities up to the most personable political hack on the tube. After all, they seem to think, if conditions get worse under their political hero, they can always change the channel. But they can't, at least not for long. Well, here I am again, and what I'm going to do is tell you a little bit more about that silly gun licensing scheme that I talked about last night. Incidentally, last night on Ted Koppel's show, he did a whole show on that. And the fun thing about it was that he repeated just about everything I'd told you. And what the show showed was that the whole program has absolutely nothing to do with any sort of crime control. No direction at all. Now, just to revamp the thing, there are 284,000 federal firearms license holders in the United States. But only 46% sold. Oh, no, let me go back. 46% of those FFL holders sold no firearms at all. 34% sold under 10 firearms. 13% sold under 50 firearms, and 7% sold over 50 firearms, which means that 80% of the FFL holders aren't really serious gun dealers. Actually, among the 46%, the reason they have their federal firearms license is so that they can buy their guns and ammunition wholesale on a personal level. For instance, when you want to, when you have an FFL, you can have a copy made and send it to one of the many dealers, and they'll sell you your firearms and ammunition wholesale. Here's a call. What happened? Oh, okay. He rang once and hung up. Well, anyway, to get back on that, if you send a copy of your federal firearms license to one of the many wholesale dealers in America through the mail, they will send you what you want wholesale. And that's what about 46% of the federal firearms license holders do. And those 34% that sold under 10 firearms, well, they're not really serious about it. They're mainly there to get their own arsenal at a very reduced price. And that's the reason I got mine. When I first got mine, what I would do is I would take advantage of the deal. Oops, here's another call, hopefully. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi, I was wondering, how do you feel about the guns for the Toys for Tots, what they're doing in New York City?
Well, that's pretty comical, because if you want to trade in your gun for a teddy bear, give the teddy bear to your kid, then what if some savage is breaking into your house?
We're talking about most of the time criminals who are getting the guns off the street.
Well, no criminal would give up his gun for a toy. See, so the program is silly. The only people who would give up their guns are the people who have spare guns. Maybe they got guns that don't even work. I probably wouldn't give you sight unseen $5 for any of those guns turned in.
Because there was, I saw on NBC News here in the New York area, there was a grandmother who turned in about 15 guns of her grandson, who was also right now in jail.
Yeah.
Wants to get rid of them before he gets out.
Well, he'll pick up all he wants later on when he gets out. He will have no problem at all.
I know it's very easy to get a gun. Getting a gun these days is like getting a six-pack of beer after hours.
Well, you see, the politicians don't understand that. They have armed guards to protect them.
I'll tell you.
And they have no idea of reality. They're insulated and isolated from reality. And so they think that wishing will make it so. And most of them are mentally defective anyway, and they bought into the system. They've grown up with it. They trust it. They're a part of it. It's a good way to get a lot of rake-offs. And so they believe in it. I mean, they really do. And I mean, they're not much more aware than most people of what's actually happening.
Yeah, but I'm saying, because the politics didn't have nothing to do with this. This was an individual who started this.
Yes, well, he was a very idealistic person, and you'd probably want him for a neighbor.
And he also has a handgun, but it's locked in a safe.
Yes.
Said he hadn't touched it in years, but
yes.
Yeah, I feel people should be able to have the right to bear arms and everything. But when we got people going to the bar, getting drunk, getting in a little fight, and next thing you know, he's going to jail.
Well,
with a gun.
Yes. Well, why would he take the gun to the bar?
Because people are carrying guns.
Well, they shouldn't do it. I carry a gun if I'm going to travel out of state, but I don't need a gun in Arkansas, certainly not in Alpena, because everyone here has guns.
So, I was just wondering how you felt about it.
Well, I think it's totally meaningless. It's not going to disarm one crook, and that's the reason for all of those different programs, disarming the crooks. The only way you can disarm the crooks is to kill them. They're perfectly happy to kill you. Why don't you just kill them and get them out of the way?
If you kill them, you're just as much of a criminal than they are.
Oh, hardly. No, not at all. Because, see, I'm not trying to steal anything from them. I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm not mad at them. I'm not a danger to them.
Well, you look at the Long Island Railroad. Did you guys know about that? Where that guy went on, was around November, early December, and he shot, I think it was 26 people, killed 6 of them.
Well, he was mentally ill.
Well, he basically he had it was basically a racist type thing.
Regardless, he was crazy as a bedbug, and he shouldn't have been running loose. He could have gotten a gun, or he could have done it with a machete.
Yeah, but he legally had the gun.
Yes.
Out of California.
Yes.
I believe the news said.
Well, you see, so the gun laws they're proposing wouldn't have stopped him from having a gun.
Yeah, but he wasn't from California. He was there on visiting on a vacation.
Yes, well, he should have been in a nut house.
So, I think the government should at least, try to see if that's your real residence and, try to have the gun owner store, people who owns the stores, maybe, report if this guy...
They have no way of doing it. They have no way of following up. The ATF has probably the poorest set of records of any government bureaucracy. As I told you last night, if you heard, the gun shows, thousands are held every year in the United States. They are supermarkets of weaponry, and the ATF admits that they don't have enough personnel to monitor them. So the ATF is totally ineffectual. All the ATF has been in the last few years is just a license-selling organization.
They should get their act together because, it could save a lot of lives. I haven't seen, but people I've gone to school with are now dead due to guns.
Yes, well, no, they're dead due to crazy people who should not have been alive. They're dead due to people who should have been gotten rid of. I mean, all this focus on guns is silly.
Yeah, but legally you can't get rid of them.
Well, change the law, rescind their rights.
You got to change the whole Constitution. You could put them in jail, but who's paying for that? Us.
Well, you shouldn't put them in jail. You should put them to sleep.
Like, most states don't have the death penalty.
Get the death penalty.
Excuse me?
Get the death penalty.
It's the death penalty? I didn't hear you.
I said get the death penalty.
Yeah, most states don't have it. And
well, then most states should get the death penalty.
And I agree. I definitely agree with you with that. But
how are you?
But they got to do something about it.
Well, they've got to do something, but will they?
That's for us to find out.
Well, I'm living in Alpena. Where are you living?
Fairfield, Connecticut.
Okay. Well, Connecticut is a pretty dangerous place compared to Arkansas.
Oh, yeah, though. The town next to me, there was 68 murders last year.
Well,
all with guns.
Don't stay there. Move here. I'd like you for a neighbor.
Okay, well, take care.
You too. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Oh, incidentally, my phone number is 437-2963. Now, getting back to that silly gun proposition, it's not going to stop any crime at all, and the only people who will it'll bother will be the people who simply wanted to get their guns and ammo wholesale. Oh, here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
How you doing there, Kurt? Real good to hear you on the air there.
Turn down your radio.
Okay, hang on a second.
Okay. That's something you got to remember because it comes through on the radio here.
Okay.
Well, you're still... Well,
first of all, let me say that I've been a long-time reader of a lot of your items there. I've got some of the original copies of the Poor Man's Armor and so forth.
Yes.
That's part of some very, very interesting things. I've been involved in firearms for, in excess of 40 years.
Yes.
And I've been an instructor in the United States Naval Academy and as well as for the Army on the subject of firearms. And I'd like to point out that there's a fellow by the name of Lieutenant Richards back in the Philippines during World War II that armed the Filipinos with a piece of gas pipe that fired 12-gauge shotgun shells and are very effective against the Japanese.
They were called the Slam Bang, and I have a modification of the Slam Bang in U.S. militia. You can build your own slam bang for under $5. You use a piece of sponge rubber padding, and this takes out all the kick, and you are more devastatingly armed than with an Uzi. It's beautiful.
One thing I like about your publication is information like that. I'd like to point out to you that on page 60 of this month's American Rifleman, somebody raised the question as to whether it was illegal to construct your own rifle or pistol.
Yes.
And the reply was no, that as long as the firearm is within the normal conformity of being a handgun or a long gun, it was perfectly legal to do so, as long as it didn't violate the National Firearms Act, which back to 1933, which would mean that pen guns or things of this nature, cane guns, would be illegal. But I think what we should do is disseminate more information so that the public knows how to build their own firearms and tell the government to go to hell.
Well, you see, U.S. militia and the poor man's James Bond will make any man his own weaponeer. In fact, any granny could make the slam bang.
Right.
And be fantastically armed. In fact, Clarence, my psychotic hero, uses the slam bang to wipe out muggers all over New York City in his article, All Muggers Are Martians.
Well, along that same line, I've been involved in gun shows for a long period of time. I heard a term called a steal-me gun. And I asked, well, what is a steal-me gun? They said, you don't know what a steal-me gun is? I said, no. What's a steal-me gun? So, well, that's what we used to call a suicide special. You remember the old top-break and solid-frame guns that were made before the turn of the century. What you do is you make up some hand loads with about 20 grains of bullseye.
Yeah.
And you load the gun with this.
Yeah.
And you put it in a paper bag and you leave it on the front seat of your car.
Yes.
Then you drive into the heart of the ghetto, and you leave your car unlocked and go for a walk.
I like it.
When you come back, lo and behold, it's gone. And the first time the individual fires it, it will take his arm off at the shoulder.
I like it.
Yeah, I thought it was a splendid idea.
Oh, yeah.
I think that what we've got to do is we've got to outlaw cities, though, Kurt.
Well, you see, let me put a point in here while it's fresh in my mind. If the people who have been turning in those guns had done what you said, overload the cartridge, and then let them get stolen, that would take a lot of criminals off the streets, don't you think?
I absolutely agree with you.
That'd be a lot more.
What we also ought to do is steal some cocaine, lace it with a little strychnine, and put it back out on the street.
Oh, ricin is better. You learn how to make ricin in Volume 3 of The Poor Man's James Bond, and it's a whole lot easier to get ricin than it is to get strychnine.
But I think that's what we need, a little mutant control.
Yes.
But I'd like to point out that Washington, D.C., I just read recently, has a murder rate of 72.5 homicides per 100,000 persons.
Yes.
That's the highest per capita murder rate of anywhere in the United States.
Yes.
Now, it's interesting to note that handguns have been illegal in Washington, D.C. since 1977.
Yes.
No one can legally own a handgun. Also, I'd like to point out that is under total federal jurisdiction. That is right in Bill Clinton and the ATF's backyard. They are the total power for this. And we've just had the city with the largest minority population with a twofer mayor, being both a female and being a black minority, request military rule within that city.
Yeah.
Because they can't handle the situation. So I think what the government's got to do is outlaw cities. It's very apparent that cities cause crime.
That's right. See, there hasn't been a murder in Alpena in its history, and I think the last murder in Harrison, about 15 miles away, which is the county seat, was about 5 years ago when a guy shot his estranged wife. But that's okay. It's in the family.
Well, I think what we ought to do is get a whole bunch of these GP mediums, you know, that the military's got surplus.
Yeah.
Round these people up in these projects. We're living off our tax money anyhow. Take them somewhere out in the national forest out there in the Midwest. Give them a GP medium. Give them a few basic hand tools, and separate them by about 2 square miles apiece.
Yeah.
And they'd either survive or they wouldn't.
Well, I guess that's one way of looking at it, but you could figure that the bureaucracy would make it extremely expensive.
Well,
they'd find a way to do that.
I think in the long run, though, with our crime control and everything else, it'll be a heck of a lot cheaper.
Well, I think that crime control is just going out the window, because if you hear these politicians scream and yell in the last few days and jump up on the most improbable solutions, you will know that they simply don't understand the situation, much less have the intelligence to do anything that they understand. Now, Senator Dole, he's not he's not very bright, but he's the only one that I heard on Capitol Hill that said, well, get rid of the criminal. It's not the guns, it's the criminals.
Well, you know that I believe the gentleman's name is Congressman Roscoe Bartlett.
Yes.
From Maryland introduced a bill that would require encoding all individuals convicted of felonies, the driver's license, so that there would be an instant check anytime a police officer stopped the individual. And also, it would solve the problem with regard to legitimate gun dealers selling firearms to individuals that are not eligible, because immediately this would show up on there. Of course, we both know that what would happen is they would soon counterfeit driver's licenses and so forth, because there's always, that's what makes them outlaws.
That's right. Well, you see, the thing is, just about 95% of the habitual criminals are known to the authorities, and all they got to do is go and round them up. Now, that'd be a lot easier than going collecting people's guns.
Well, I think that it's only a matter of time when it's going to hit the fan.
Yes.
And the whole thing's going to go up in a ball of smoke. I think the L.A. riots were a dress rehearsal for this.
Yes.
I think we go back to the 1960s to the Newark riots. That was another dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
And I just think it's a matter of time before it's going to happen.
Well, the system is collapsing. Okay, is that about it for now?
That's it. Nice talking to you.
Well,
and,
anytime.
We're looking forward to read more of your literature.
Well, that thing about the slam bang, Clarence's use of it is in his story in this issue of U.S. Militia that people will get as a sample copy of U.S. Militia, along with Shoestring Entrepreneur and the David Koresh book. So,
okay, now let me ask you one thing while I got you on the phone.
Okay.
It's $15 for a 12-issue subscription to the Shoestring Entrepreneur?
Yeah, but I'd rather you just order the sample packet first,
okay.
And you'll get $5 off on any subscription. So now the
Survivor and the Militia are also 15.
No, the U.S. Militia is 35. It's
35.
It's an 80-page publication.
Okay.
No paid ads. It's all meat there.
Okay.
And you start off with the first 3 issues, and you get 9 more issues as they come out.
Are you still publishing The Poor Man's Armor?
Well, The Poor Man's Armor is now a part of Poor Man's James Bond Volume 2.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, now the phone number is 501-437-2963, and I think it'll be very worthwhile if you will send $10 for that information packet, which, as I said, has a copy of U.S. Militia, the whole story about how Clarence wipes out the muggers in New York with this simple slam-bang shotgun. Here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi, Kurt. Chuck from Michigan.
Hi, Chuck.
I've been listening for, I think I caught you Monday a week ago.
Well, that's
the
good.
first show, and I've told quite a few friends of mine.
Well, that's nice.
My question is, I think there's a lot of people missing an opportunity here. There's a lot of collectors, and why the heck don't they park themselves outside of where these announced programs are? And, you know, for a few bucks, they might pick up some really nice guns.
Well, they might, but I think most of the guns that are turned in are inoperable. It's a lot cheaper to go and change your gun for a teddy bear or a ball ticket or whatever than to take it to a gunsmith.
Yeah, what's the idea there? No, when someone breaks in your house, you're going to throw your teddy bear at them? Is that?
I don't know. I think a person who had traded his gun for a teddy bear, and then someone breaks into his house and kills his child because he doesn't have a gun to protect the home with, would be feel sort of silly.
Okay, I just there's probably a lot of junk, but there might be some really nice old beautiful guns turned in. And
well, probably the people who are collecting those guns are selling them out the back door.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. I got
that'd be a good racket.
Really enjoy your show.
Well, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Keep it up.
Bye for now. Now, the phone number is 501-437-2963, and I think it would be worth your while to send $10 for that information packet. Now, that, David, here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hello, Kurt. York again calling.
Oh.
Second time. How are you?
Fine.
Good. In the week and a half I've listened to you, several times it's mentioned when you said when things start coming apart, or falling apart. I wonder if I could have you explain sort of the essence of what you mean in this country, and in what ways when things start falling apart, what they'll be like and what will bring it about. That would be my question. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, well, I think a good illustration of that is what you see over your TV. Instead of it being 100 miles away, it'll be in your own town. You see, the crime is getting worse. More people are unemployed. There are more homeless. There's more nuttiness out there. And finally, it gets to the point where the system can't take it. Now, the Russian system collapsed because of too many people. Of course, the system didn't work well, but finally when they were on overload, they just broke down. Mexico is breaking down. You probably hear of the revolution there now, the worst revolution since 1910. And they can't really control it because it has to do with the people. And finally, when the people get fed up of they don't have jobs, they're hungry, they got nothing to lose, then they're going to turn on the government. And, of course, the government will act irrationally, as it always does. I mean, most of the stuff that you've heard about the gun laws and collecting guns has just been irrational. And so all of this irrationality, and when you see the president attacked from every angle, not only is he a sex hound, but he's been messing in all kinds of land deals, and his wife is a nut. And this is what we've got for the leader of the country. And it's coming out in the open now, and it's like I've said before, don't be afraid of your government, be afraid that because you don't have a government anymore. And without a good, solid government, when the economy goes down a little further, then it will be mass chaos. Everyone will know it, and by the time everybody knows it, it's going to be too late for most people to prepare.
Is there a time frame or a relative span between such and such that you would expect this to take place? Part B would be, do you think it'll happen all over at once, in little places, towns, villages, cities?
Well, it'll be mainly cities. It won't have too much immediate effect on the towns and villages. But like in Figge's book, The Collapse of America in 1995, I don't quite have the title right, but it's in Shoestring Entrepreneur, but by 1995, the national debt will have gotten so high that the government won't collect enough money to pay the interest on the national debt, and then everything will collapse. Oh, that's Bankruptcy 1995 by Figge.
Yes.
And you can pick up that book at your library or bookstore. It doesn't cost much. It is a very revealing book. And it's very for the individual reader. It's something that you realize when you read that this Disneyland for Dummies is about to close down forever. We're way past the point of no return. Our system is on overload. Our politicians, screwballs to start, are going stark raving mad now.
I called Washington today, the congressional office, to get a copy of what I heard March 17th, 1993. Don't have the gentleman's name in front of me who addressed the Congress. It's in the congressional records, and they say they do not have a copy of that anymore. They're out of print, and they won't be printing anymore. So I have another number to call tomorrow morning, which it talks about this nation being bankrupt and in one of the largest reorganizations the world has ever known. I guess that means financially. So that's going to be quite enlightening to get a copy of that if I can.
Well, you see, we've got about 100 million social dependents. And when these social dependents are no longer cared for, the older ones will simply die, but the younger ones will burn down the cities. And so that's the end of it.
Well, I thought of welfare as an entitlement program, but I have since found out there's 78 and growing entitlement programs.
Yes.
Then another thing that came to mind about this healthcare system, that there's more people being born than dying, I believe, no facts to back it up, but people that are coming online are just going to be shuffled into this program, which is so expensive. So I think this is a ballooning effect that's going to be, it's going to come down like Hindenburg.
Yes, and that will happen in a little over a year from now, unless Clinton speeds up his program to make it happen sooner. Because that guy, all he wanted was to be president. He didn't know how to be president. He knew nothing about government. All he knew was politics and political manipulations. And that's all he's good at. That doesn't do us any good at all.
No, sir, you're right. I've always voted before, and I'm 52, and I think this the last time I voted was the last time I'll ever vote.
Well, you didn't have anyone to vote for.
I did my thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well...
And so I realized that anybody I ever voted for never turned out any good anyways.
Of course not. Well, Bush was senile, and Clinton was simple. So you had no choice.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, bye for now. Now, again, our phone number is 501-437-2963. And if you'd like to get a set of these tapes, they are $25 postpaid for a week of tapes, or $6 each, from Jeffrey's Audio, P.O. Box 326, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. Hello.
Hello, Kurt.
Yes.
This is Wildflower up here in Connecticut.
Hi, Wildflower.
Well, I've been able to tune into your show. It sounds very good.
Good.
As for the man that was your previous caller about the rate of collapse or how it's going to be affected.
Yeah.
Collapse will probably occur mostly starting in the areas there that have been overtaxed and overburdened with social services.
Also overpopulated.
Yes. And when there's no jobs, when the taxes are too high, when the regulations are too confusing, people just go ape shit.
Yes, they do.
They went, well, take a look how they reacted to, let's say, the Rodney King thing in L.A. People there was claiming it was for a long list of grievances. Actually, people, I guess, just got tired of listening to the government.
What? Well, also, you had a lot of mass insanity there. Take, for instance, those the rioters and the people who beat up people just going through there, and especially those three savages who tried to kill Reginald Denny.
Yes, well, the thing is that he was looking for a timetable when it all occurs.
Yeah.
It's going to occur greatly in some areas, and other areas where you remain untouched until they, too, get hit.
Yeah, well, I doubt if it will ever occur in northern Arkansas or various other rural areas around the country.
No, it'll probably be more or less be mostly for, let's say, where they've been called the welfare dumps.
Yes. Well, mainly the social dependents and the people that live off the social dependents. The metropolitan areas, they'll go first. And then the rural areas, they can probably hold out indefinitely and just start over. I remember when, during the Depression, my granddad, living about 15 miles from here, had a country store, a farm, blacksmith shop, grain mill, sawmill, and everything just about was done by barter, and they knew there was a depression on, but it had very little effect on them, whereas in the cities it was horrible.
Yes. Well, up in my own state there, we're looking forward to seeing another $100 million possibly on the deficit. It's going to have to be made up in taxes somehow.
Yes, well, it won't be.
Well, the thing is that the people up here are getting kind of fed up with taxes. After all, they're seeing it drive away businesses out of the state.
What is it?
Yes.
And, of course, the politicians say, well, that can't be the real reason why they're leaving.
Well, the politicians don't know.
Well, if they do know, they certainly keep their mouth shut about the real reason because they don't want to alarm the voting population.
Well, it's partly that, but in many cases, the politicians are very ignorant people because they look good, they sound good, and anybody can put on a good act for 5 minutes on a TV interview. But actually, see, we had a very depressed, mentally electorate. The IQ in this country is dropping like a stone, and it was the dregs of humanity that voted our president in, and most of the politicians. And when the average voter is an idiot, it's the most idiotic politicians that get voted in. And like in C.M. Kornbluth's The Marching Morons, which you should read, the intellect around the country is so low functionally that nothing functions anymore. You really ought to read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, and you'll see how that happens step by step. It's a great book. I talked about it last night.
Well, the thing is that if the government didn't exist, I would suppose that Mr. Clinton there would probably have a job selling used cars or maybe dog catcher.
I don't think anybody would buy anything from him because he's not a good salesman. All he knows is just how to manipulate.
Well, that's what most used car salesmen do.
Well, people wouldn't be buying used cars. Well, is that about it, Wildflower? I thank you for your call.
Well, I thank you. It sounds like a good show, and I hope it continues on for a few more years.
Oh, hope so.
Even if you have to run your own station.
I might. Okay, then thanks a lot for calling.
Okay.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
Now, again, the phone number is 501-437-2963, and the address to send for the tapes is P.O. Box 326, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611, and the address to send for the $10 information packet with the U.S. is P.O. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hello, Kurt.
Yes.
Are you on the radio now?
Yes. So are you.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Well, look, Kurt, my name's Dwight, and I'm calling you from Boise, Idaho.
Okay,
and
Dwight.
The other night, a friend of mine heard you talking about the militia with somebody.
Yeah.
And we're interested in starting a militia up here, and wanted to get some information from you on, there was some kind of national militia newsletter or something.
Well, it's U.S. militia, and it's described in my publication, U.S. militia.
Okay.
And you
tell me how to get that.
Well, why don't you send $10 for the information packet?
You got it.
It's P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. That's P.O. Box 95. You got it. Alpena, Arkansas 72611. You'll get a sample copy of U.S. Militia, which you will love, especially the story about Clarence using the pipe shotgun to wipe out all the muggers in New York. And also there's an article there on setting up a U.S. militia unit. But when you finally subscribe, then you will get the first 3 issues, including the one you get as a sample. And that will be actually free anyway because you get a $5 credit on any subscription you buy. So then the U.S. Militia issue 1 and 2 gives full details about how to start your own unit, not only to protect your community, but to make a good living, too.
Okay. Kurt, one of the problems we're running into up here is we've been having a meeting, various people, and there's a certain amount of timidity in the minds of some of the people, fear of government retaliation. And one of the things that I felt like is we needed to check in a network with other states We've heard that other states are starting up militias, and wanted to find out what they're doing and how they're organizing themselves, and what resistance, if any, that they're getting from government.
Well,
is that kind of information covered, or there?
No, because a real U.S. militia unit wouldn't give you the time of day. See, it's just understandable. Your unit is your unit, and you run it the way you see fit for your neighborhood, your community, your area. And
but when you say a real U.S. militia unit, do you mean the National Guard?
No. They're okay, but the U.S. militia is a community-based organization where every man is trained, both with martial arts and arms. And he knows exactly what to do, and he's not just some timid guy confronting someone that he's afraid of. He will not be a U.S. militiaman unless he is trained. And then when he confronts the hoodlum that's terrorizing the neighborhood, there's a good chance he'll not live very long. But of course, who did him in? Who's to know?
Right.
He's not like Bernard Getz going to shoot 3 of those savages and then run and report himself. So the U.S. militia. Well, you'll have to get you just love the concept.
We're gonna send off tonight for your literature.
Yeah.
One of the things that we want to do is get in touch with individuals in other states that are starting up militias. If I put a note in there to that effect, could you maybe give me some numbers of some people around the country that are doing militias that we could call?
Well, no, because that would be an invasion of their privacy. There will be a system as units are formed where they can compare notes, but not at this time.
Okay. Have you ever had a round-robin discussion on your radio program where different people called in and talked about the militia and what they're doing and that sort of thing?
No, not yet.
Well, I hope that you'll put that on the agenda with your radio show sometime.
Well,
because
that's up to the caller.
I think that there's a lot of, just to let you know, up here in Idaho, there's a surprisingly a lot of interest up here. All sorts of people. You just say the word militia, and it's like there's this natural desire that they want to join, but nobody knows how to start one up, and those people that have come forward to organize one, like I say, are a little bit afraid of government action against them personally or professionally or whatever.
Well, the government wouldn't have any interest in this. It would be a completely state thing, and the state police wouldn't have much interest in it either. It's not a threat to the government. It is a protection for the community.
No, I totally agree, but I just, like I said, I'm just describing to you the concerns of some of the individuals that I've talked to.
Well,
listen, I'm going to get off the phone and let somebody else talk to you, and
okay.
I will send for the information, and thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right. Good night.
Okay, again, the phone number is 501-437-2963, and the address for the tapes is P.O. Box 326, Alpena, Arkansas 72611. The address for the information packet is, here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi, he was just talking about the malicious groups.
Yeah?
That's basically the same thing as sort of like the Guardian Angels.
No, I've been on shows with Guardian Angels.
Yeah, I wasn't quite positive if
yeah, well, no, Curtis Sliwa runs the Guardian Angel. He's a fine guy. He's got
a radio show on FM in New York.
Yeah, but you see...
Is that the same type thing? Or?
No. You see, the Guardian Angels are more or less like nut house attendants. Say that a punk goes after a little old lady, and the Guardian Angels sees them.
I know exactly what they do.
Yeah.
They've been in Connecticut with me, here and everything, but I was wondering what does the malicious group do?
Well, you see, the militia group, the militia man, as opposed to the Guardian Angel, would do away with the punk.
Okay.
See, I mean, with the Guardian Angel, if he talks nasty to the punk will just wait for another victim. But if the punk goes after someone in your neighborhood, then he's out of that neighborhood, one way or the other.
Okay, one way or another, living or
That's right.
Basically, if he doesn't leave, he's gonna be leaving in a bag.
That's right.
Okay, because I was a little confused about that, because I know the Guardian Angels do a lot of help in New York.
Well, there's a
They
good
try.
enough. Well, they try, but it's just not my way. I don't like acting like a nut house attendant. I was a nut house attendant, and I was paid to do a good job, and I did do a good job, and I was my brother's keeper.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
But anyone
very
running
hard.
loose on the streets threatening people should be hurt so severely that he won't dare come into that neighborhood again or killed.
Okay, no, I was just a little confused between the differences between them and what you were just talking about.
Well, the philosophy of U.S. militia is to treat the criminal as he treats his victims. Understand?
Okay, basically, if he rapes somebody, you kill him.
That's right. Of course, you don't rape him, you kill him.
Yeah. So it's sort of like the way the KKK works.
Well, in a sense, the KKK...
Not as much racial.
No, they I think they get tripped up in those robes of theirs. But you see, the U.S. militia will wear no identification or carry no identification.
It would just be like a normal Joe walking down the street.
Just a normal Joe.
Okay, thanks. I was just a little confused because the way he was describing it, I was thinking, boy, that sounds sort of like the Guardian Angels, but
Yeah.
I never read anything about this.
No, the Guardian Angels don't carry guns.
Yeah, I'm a new listener, and I just wasn't really sure what the militia, was.
Well, that's all described in U.S. militia, and since you're interested in it, I'm sure that you would love to subscribe. You would love the material. It's like no other material ever published because most people are too timid to publish real gut-level material.
Yeah.
They think that they're going to bother the feds or whatever. Well, my idea about the feds is I don't bother them. They don't bother me.
Yeah.
So bless their hearts. They got enough to do without being worried about me, and everything I do is legal, and if it's not legal, nobody knows about it.
Yeah, so, no, I got the address we were giving out before. I got it on my, I run a VCR tape from on my shack, so I basically record everything I hear.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be sending away for it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Nice talking to you again. Bye-bye.
Anytime. Bye-bye. Hello, Kurt Saxon here again. My number is 501-437-2963. And again, the number for the information packet is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. Got another call. Hello, here I am.
Yeah, calling from Florida.
Good for you.
Coming in real well tonight.
I'm glad.
Got a shortwave for Christmas.
Hello, stranger.
Oh, that was a good Christmas gift.
No.
Yeah, we got a serial rapist that just got let out of jail and he's moved into our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering if you had something in your bag of tricks that's not quite like killing them or anything, but things that you could do to get them to leave your neighborhood.
Well, I don't know what you could do to him. Well, you could castrate him.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, what does it matter what you do to him? He's a serial rapist. He's an animal. He shouldn't be alive. You shouldn't give him any consideration. He's subhuman.
Yeah, it's amazing. They sent him up for 9 years on just a weapons charge after a whole bunch of amazing things, and then state of Florida just let them loose after 3. I just can't believe it.
Well, like in my next editorial for U.S. militia, people like him pour billions and billions of dollars into the criminal justice system. Otherwise, they just get rid of them. But it's too lucrative. The criminal justice system is a major industry. And if it didn't profit the wardens and the jailers and the people who sold food and clothes to the prisons, and if it didn't keep the cops employed and the janitors to sweep out the courthouse and the lawyers prosecuting and defense and the judges, why, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in this country make a very good living off criminality. So if it was a rational and sane system, they would just dispose of these people like you would dispose of any subhuman animal. There's no rational reason to keep them alive.
Yeah, and I imagine any animal culture would do the same to misbehaving misfits.
Well, most of them would. Our species is the only species that nurtures and protects their parasites and predators. The only one, knowingly that is.
Well,
and it doesn't make any sense.
Show.
Well, I'm glad you do. I'm going to hang in there.
Certainly coming in well in Florida. And let me let you go.
Okay. You send for that packet.
Certainly will. Bye.
Okay, bye for now. Well, we got 3 minutes. The phone number is 501-437-2963. My address is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, Arkansas, 72611. There's another call. Okay, we got 3 minutes. You'll probably be the last caller.
Yeah, Kurt, I was just wondering, when meltdown does happen to the United States, will the UN step in?
Like they stepped in Somalia? Like they're doing in Yugoslavia?
Something like that.
As I pointed out, all of their countries that they represent are in just as bad or worse trouble as this. Now, if you were a guy in uniform, regardless of the color of your helmet, would you want to go to some other country and fight their bandits when you got so many bandits of your own?
No way.
And if you did go to their country, wouldn't you be a little leery about getting shot at by people you didn't know?
Especially with 200 million guns.
There you go. It doesn't make any sense.
All right, thanks, Kurt.
You're very welcome. Bye for now.
Bye.
Got 2 minutes. Your phone number is 501-437-2963. And this show is going to air again at 9 on, let's see, 7.435 megahertz. Another caller. Hello.
Hi, Kurt.
Hi.
Like your show. I sent for your packet today. I got a question for you about your militia. Do you have any policemen in the militias?
Well, we hope to.
Do you have? Oh, I just kind of wondered with this new world order crap. It's like, do you have any honest policemen in there and stuff?
Well, you see, the honest policeman will join U.S. militia.
Yeah. Okay.
The average policeman is a very fine, outstanding person.
I agree. I have some friends who are.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wondered. I've never talked to them about this stuff, and I'm kind of afraid to. I just don't know what side of the fence they'd be on, I guess.
Well, you take these honest cops and have them pick up these jerks and see that they're getting out and getting out and getting out. Finally, they're going to want to go underground.
Yeah.
So that's just about the way it is.
Okay.
Okay, then.
Wanted to know. I sent for your packet. I look forward for it.
Okay, you'll get it soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now it's sign-off time. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So this is Kurt Saxon saying goodbye and be good.
So, study the book, study the tape, and study your own attitudes and your own skill. Take stock of everything, because what we're messing with is more than dynamite. It could be your life.